Founding the presidency, George Washington's vision, policies, and legacy. George Washington's presidency, spanning from 1789 to 1797, was an epochal period in American history. As the nation's inaugural president, he confronted the formidable challenge of not only establishing the office of the presidency but also constructing a functional government while shepherding a nascent and vulnerable nation through its early formative years. His accomplishments during this pivotal juncture played a foundational role in molding the United States into the stable and prosperous nation it ultimately became. In this comprehensive exploration, we will delve deeply into various facets of George Washington's presidency, illuminating the key policies, formidable challenges, and enduring legacies he left behind. Inaugurating the office, pioneering the presidency. Among George Washington's most remarkable achievements was the establishment of the presidency itself. Following the American Revolution and the ratification of the U.S. Constitution in 1787, the United States required a central figurehead to guide the newly formed federal government. Washington's election as the inaugural President of the United States in 1789 set a momentous precedent for the nation's future. Assuming office, Washington grappled with the daunting task of defining the role and authority of the presidency. He recognized keenly that his decisions would set the tone and boundaries for all subsequent presidents. The decisions he made during his presidency continued to influence the executive branch's function and significance in the present day. Crafting domestic policy, forging the government's underpinnings. George Washington's presidency was distinguished by the formulation of pivotal domestic policies that laid the bedrock for the operation of the U.S. government. The following are key areas where he made substantive contributions. The birth of federal departments. Taming the Whiskey Rebellion. Pioneering a national bank. The birth of federal departments. One of Washington's foremost undertakings was the establishment of federal government agencies. He conceived the Department of State, overseen by Thomas Jefferson, responsible for foreign affairs, the Department of the Treasury, headed by Alexander Hamilton, entrusted with fiscal and economic matters, and the Department of War, under the stewardship of Henry Knox, managing military affairs. Subsequently, the Department of Justice was founded to address legal concerns. These departments constituted the nucleus of the executive branch and were instrumental in shaping and executing federal policies. The framework Washington instituted for the executive branch endures today. Taming the Whiskey Rebellion. In 1791, Washington confronted a momentous domestic crisis known as the Whiskey Rebellion. Farmers in western Pennsylvania rebelled against a federal excise tax on whiskey, perceiving it as an undue burden on their livelihoods. Washington's response marked a defining moment in the assertion of federal authority. He personally led a militia into the region to quell the rebellion, emphatically conveying the federal government's commitment to enforcing its laws. Though the rebellion itself was relatively modest in scale, Washington's unwavering action cemented the federal government's supremacy and its resolve to uphold law and order. Pioneering a national bank. The establishment of a national bank was one of the most contentious domestic policy issues of Washington's presidency. Alexander Hamilton, as Secretary of the Treasury, championed the creation of the first Bank of the United States. Hamilton argued that the bank would bolster the nation's fiscal stability and furnish a secure repository for government funds. Ultimately, Washington supported Hamilton's proposal, signing the bank bill into law in 1791. The founding of the national bank marked a momentous stride in centralizing financial authority within the federal government and fostering economic stability. Navigating foreign affairs, championing neutrality. George Washington's foreign policy approach was characterized by a commitment to neutrality and a determination to steer clear of entanglement in foreign conflicts. This stance was shaped by the United States' aspiration to evade the pitfalls of European politics and focus on nation-building. Key foreign policy accomplishments during his presidency include the Jay Treaty, upholding neutrality amid the French Revolutionary Wars. The Jay Treaty, one of the foremost foreign policy accomplishments during Washington's presidency, was the negotiation and signing of the Jay Treaty in 1795. This treaty, brokered by Chief Justice John Jay, resolved multiple disputes between the United States and Britain, encompassing trade issues, the status of the Northwest Territory, and the presence of British military forces on the western frontier. Upholding neutrality amid the French Revolutionary Wars. In Europe, the maelstrom of the French Revolution and ensuing conflicts was causing tumult and upheaval. Washington, cognizant of the vulnerability of the fledgling United States, elected to pursue a policy of neutrality, avoiding alliances that might embroil the nation in European disputes. This policy faced a critical test during the Citizen Genet affair, when French Ambassador Edmond Genet sought to embroil the United States in France's wars. The Washington administration staunchly upheld the principles of neutrality, ultimately curbing Genet's activities. Washington's unwavering commitment to neutrality proved instrumental in preserving the nation's stability during a tumultuous epoch in European history. The Farewell Address, setting an enduring example. In September 1796, George Washington made the momentous decision not to seek re-election for a third term, thereby establishing another vital precedent. In his farewell address, he proffered sagacious counsel and reflections on his presidency. The farewell address touched upon several pivotal themes: cautioning against political factions, deterrence of permanent alliances, emphasis on national unity, cautioning against political factions. Washington issued a cautionary note against the perils of political parties and factionalism. He apprehended that excessive partisanship could imperil national unity and weaken the nascent republic. Deterrence of permanent alliances. He admonished against the formation of enduring alliances with foreign nations, positing that such entanglements might jeopardize national sovereignty and lead to conflicts not aligned with the nation's best interests. Emphasis on national unity. Washington accentuated the paramount significance of national unity and urged citizens to prioritize their identity as Americans over regional or party affiliations. His message sought to cultivate a sense of collective identity. Legacy and unresolved challenges. While George Washington's presidency was replete with accomplishments and the institution of critical precedents, it also grappled with considerable challenges and left certain matters unresolved. The thorn of slavery. Relations with indigenous peoples. The legacy of the Whiskey Rebellion. The thorn of slavery. One of the most intricate and enduring dilemmas of Washington's presidency was the issue of slavery. Washington himself was a slave owner, and though he privately harbored misgivings about slavery, he undertook no substantive measures to abolish it during his lifetime. This issue would fester and eventually give rise to the profound schisms that culminated in the American Civil War in the 19th century. Relations with indigenous peoples. The Washington administration encountered persistent challenges in managing relations with Native American tribes as the nation expanded westward. Despite efforts to negotiate treaties and cultivate peaceful relations, conflicts and tensions endured throughout his presidency and beyond. The legacy of the Whiskey Rebellion. While Washington's response to the Whiskey Rebellion effectively underscored federal authority, it also prompted concerns regarding the scope of federal government power and the potential deployment of military force against American citizens. These apprehensions would contribute to ongoing debates concerning the balance of power between the federal and state governments. The precedent of 2 terms. Washington's choice to voluntarily step down after 2 terms established a crucial precedent for presidential term limits. This precedent remained unchallenged until the presidency of Franklin D. Roosevelt in the 20th century, when the 22nd Amendment was ratified, formally limiting presidents to 2 terms. Conclusion: the indelible legacy of George Washington's presidency. George Washington's presidency laid the groundwork for the American presidency as we recognize it today. His leadership, both on the battlefield during the American Revolution and in the presidential office, solidified the principles of a fledgling nation and initiated the framework for a robust and enduring federal government. The influence of his leadership, his precedents, and his principled governance reverberates through the annals of American history, shaping the nation's course for generations to come. Please like and subscribe if you like the video. Thank you.